Hello everyone, it's Richard here. In this video I wanted to go over what myself and our family did for Valentine's Day this year, and it was quite an interesting project. We decided to not only do 3D printing but also do mixed materials, so I'll go into that in a little bit. But the reason why I'm wearing my Proto-Pasta t-shirt is because the team at Proto-Pasta have sent me a mystery box, and I thought I would open it up and see what was inside, because they've been doing some really interesting things and posting some really cool filament samples and various things on Twitter over the last few weeks. So I have no idea what's actually in here, but it feels interesting, and I thought I would open it up on camera to see what sort of things they've sent me this time. It's always awesome. Everything they do, always awesome. So every time I get a little interesting sample or cool box like this, I know there's going to be something totally incredible inside. So I've got a little knife and we will see what's inside. So here we go. Okay. Oh, new stickers. Got some new stickers. Okay. Oh, we've got EL Products. Chap. There we go. Matte Proto-Pasta. I love carbon fiber Proto-Pasta. I print with Proto-Pasta. Stop and smell the filament. We like that. And Geek Love gift shop. Excellent. Okay, that's interesting, and I really like all of those stickers, so they're great. They will go on my filament box. And on the very top we've got something awesome. We've got something labelled prototype, which looks a little bit interesting. That looks a little bit metallic-y, a little bit metally, maybe copper or something. So that's going to be a really nice little sample to try out. And another one that looks, again, another prototype and another interesting metal type filament. That one looks bronze. And oh, another one, and this one is actually labelled up, so that's quite nice. We've got Composite Copper, so we've got copper filament here as well. Now they all look very nice. That is really smooth filament, so I'll be really interested to try. Oh my god. Oh, okay, this is really this is quite interesting. So I have, wow, why does it look like that? Okay, I'm gonna have to get this out and show you, because I have no idea. But look, there is a transition spool. Now, I secretly hoped that maybe, possibly, I would be able to get hold of one of these one day. And Proto-Pasta is not that easy to get hold of in the UK. That said, I did notice on Twitter that they've just signed up 3D Filaprint in the UK, and Hawk 3D Proto also stock Proto-Pasta. So I was hoping maybe we might see some of these special spools that they've been experimenting with. And just today, I watched the 3D printing nerd, Joel Telling, do his trip to Proto-Pasta and actually, with his kids, do some interesting experiments with transition spools and custom colours. So literally just today, and then this box turns up and it's got what looks like to be one of the most awesome transition spools I've ever seen in my life. It goes from, oh my, wow, it goes from clear to sort of a ruby, interesting deep red, to a lighter red, and then purple, and then dark blue, light blue, and very nicely translucent blue. So whoa, that really is very, very exciting. Now they've pulled the looks like they've pulled one of the cardboard sides off, and that might be a nod towards Master Spool. Maybe they're thinking a little bit about how they make spools packaged so that can fit onto the Master Spool system, but I'm not going to put words in their mouth. So this is just an awesome spool because it's an awesome spool. But wow, that looks really, I'm very excited about that. And there's even more. So, whoa, what is this? Oh, yes. Oh, this says, ha! It says, save the pasta, imperfect pasta, waste less. So this is imperfect pasta. Now, Proto-Pasta have sent me imperfect pasta before, imperfect filament, and to be honest, it was stainless steel and I could not tell that it wasn't perfect, so that's going to be just as useful as any other type of pasta. So yeah, wow, and that is such a beautiful minty green, I'm going to call that. Maybe that's a sort of a very light green. Is my favorite color, and I do tell people this, but yeah, green's my favorite color, so I'm rather excited by that. And there's one more. Oh, it's another green. Oh, wow. Oh, my. it's Clover Leaf. Oh yes, that's that's really exciting because, oh wow, look at that. Yeah, I'm going to get some close-ups for you. That looks just amazing. That is metallic green Clover Leaf. Wow. Thank you ever so much, Proto-Pasta. You are doing an amazing job and doing such fantastic custom filaments. Always excited to get anything from you to talk about it, and especially that transition roll. I think I know what I'm going to do with this. I think Easter's coming up and I really think I know what I'm going to do with this, so stay tuned. This is going to be doing some exciting things, I'm pretty sure. That is very interesting. I love the idea of transition rolls, different colours, purging, doing multiple colour prints, and just having that sort of interest that you can't get with just switching colours in a hard way. So these transition rolls are quite exciting. And of course all of the new metal filaments. I love their iron, the stainless steel. They're all some of my, well, they are pretty much my favourite filaments of all time. So these are going to be really nice to try out too. So thanks ever so much, and yeah, I'll let you know how I get on with those. That's really exciting. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did, and that was a really nice little bonus treat to come back to today. I did actually note that I knew that something was coming to me because I got an email, but that was over a week and a half ago, and then we had a massive snowstorm here in the UK and it just shut down all deliveries and everything else. So I know this has been trying to get to me for about a week. So I finally got it today, and yeah, that's been well worth the anticipation of what possibly it could be. Okay, so back to the subject of this video, which is all about what our family did for Valentine's Day this year. And we decided, myself, my wife, and our two kids, two daughters, that we were going to do a sort of a joint project. And basically the focus was mixed materials. And I obviously like 3D printing. My wife does a lot of interesting projects with more natural materials. She sews a lot, does all sorts of different paper making and all sorts of different things, and my kids obviously love making. They do loads of interesting creative things. So we thought, if we come together and we think about different things we could do for Valentine's Day, what could we think about it and what could we do? And again, the focus on this was really about mixed materials, and I really want to sort of push that point across, because sometimes using materials from different disciplines, not just 3D printing materials all the time. So yes, we've got 3D printed plastic, and we've got 3D printed wood, and we've got 3D printed metals, and all those types of things that you can combine and you can make interesting objects. But I wanted to bring in real wood and real paper and other things that my kids decided that also would be amazing to do. And it was really fun. We worked together on it for over a week, and we're still doing bits now. So some of these bits I'm going to show you are not quite finished. They're still being worked on. But I wanted to give you a little taster to try and see whether it sparked any interest or ideas for yourself to, you know, what you could do for not just holidays and events, but just generally to mix 3D printing with more interesting materials. So first of all, I looked at designing something that would be appropriate for Valentine's, and I came up with the idea of a heart box, which is nothing particularly new. I designed a little shape, a little heart box shape, and a lid that could be fitted onto the box. And I did some prototypes just to print out. This one's got a paper inlay that, again, we're sort of in the process of using paper materials and things. That was quite good, and this is in Facilian C8, which is a really nice strong material, good for prototyping. But I also wanted to experiment with Polymaker Polysmooth, because it has a wonderful way of obviously smoothing the filament afterwards. And I thought that would be really nice, because I wanted these boxes to be used by my daughters and my wife and anyone else that sort of could see them as a actual practical thing that you might want to use. So I ended up printing out quite a lot of these bases and lids, and actually putting them in the Polymaker Polysmooth polisher and polishing them up, and they came out really nice. So that was sort of the basic component we were going to use for our mixed material experiments. The next thing I was really keen to do, because my wife does a lot of sort of stamp making, and she uses this thing called a big shot, which you turn the handle and you compress some dyes onto different materials, and it can press out things and put reliefs and compressions onto different materials. So we looked at all sorts of materials that we had lying around, basically. So there were some natural materials, leather, and fake leathers and things like that, and then some suede and all sorts of other things. So the first one we looked at was, this is a nice suede material, and this has got a little A and an S that we punched in. My wife kindly put this through her machine and actually printed out a little die, and this has just basically got a reversed relief on. So these are A and S that have been flipped, so when you compress them down and push them onto something, you get the opposite, which is the right way around. So we ended up with the correct way around A and an S in these really nice materials, different leathers and that sort of thing. So that could be put onto one of these and glued in place, and, you know, make it a little bit more interesting. Now, that was great. So we did quite a few of those in different materials, and again, my wife sort of was quite good at sort of getting that process going and giving some feedback on the way that these work. So I've learned a lot about how the press system works, and you certainly need quite a tough material. PLA is a good choice here because it's quite a hard material. Otherwise, the sides tend to collapse, especially if you've got very small details. It was really interesting that. I'm going to do a bit more work and experiment on producing those sort of compression relief dies that we can actually use in that machine, and maybe in a bigger press that I might be able to make up as well. So that was great. The other thing I've always wanted to do was work with natural wood, and I'm lucky enough to have some interesting wood. So there's things like walnut burr veneer, which I ended up cutting into this lovely little front panel for the heart box. And actually these are walnut burr, and inside there is actually a bronze 3D printed part that's been buffed and then had a nice lacquer over the top. So again, that was something I really wanted to look at. A few little tips on if you're ever thinking of using real wood veneer, because it's quite expensive, so you know you have to treat it quite carefully. A few tips I've learned sort of just by experimenting with different things is, if you use some tape, some paper tape, sort of the sort of blue tape we use for 3D print beds, that gives a little bit of extra support. And I actually produced this little cut around which you can use to put on top of something like a veneer or paper. Use that for the paper cutout, and actually then draw around it. And it's quite nice if you do that, because you get the grain of the wood that follows across, so you're not having the grain going one way and then the other way. It's especially nice for things like the walnut, because then it naturally flows on the part that you're making, especially if you're doing multiple inlays or you're using different coloured woods next to each other, which is something I want to experiment with again, sort of light woods and dark woods, and cutting them. Of course, if I had a laser cutter, I could have just put that sheet in the laser cutter and cut out beautiful parts, but I don't have a laser cutter. It's one of the things that I haven't really had any experience on. I still don't have or own, or have really had much to do with, but one day maybe that would be a good thing to do for materials like this, to actually be able to engrave them and incorporate them into 3D printed parts, which is really what this was all about. So I used other things, printed out little presses, and these presses actually push down and they could clamp onto the wood, so that's quite nice that they just fit nicely and snugly. Then you can put glue on the back of your paper or your inlaid wood and clamp them all together. So that's a little trick you can do, and over a few days I managed to evolve this design and do all sorts of different things with it. There was one here with, that's it's an unfinished one at the moment, so that was a two-part Polymaker Polysmooth part. That was quite interesting, because I actually printed out the parts separately, put them in, and then allowed this Polysmooth process to fuse the parts together. Black and white are not ideal for that, because they did get a little bit of bleed from the two colours, but I've done that with sort of a yellow and white, and that's been fine. You don't get so much bleed there, and maybe I left it in the polisher ever so slightly too long for that one, so I need to be a little bit more careful. And then of course a few more bronze pieces that are to go finish off this as inlay. My daughter's currently doing one with beautiful shells. Pick this one up very carefully because she's in the process of doing it. Oh, I don't want to move them around too much, but yeah, she's doing one with little shells on, and we're looking at other things as well. There's definitely, oh yeah, there we go. So we did this one, which is obviously a glitter one, which is great. You just get the poly smooth nice and sticky in the polisher, and then you just dump glitter all over it. There's one I haven't finished yet, but this was bronze powder, again put over the top of a poly smoothed part that's all sticky. So then just pour bronze over that, let that set, tip the bronze off, and then you can polish that up or put it in a tumbler to get a nice finish on it. So yeah, it was really interesting sort of doing this all together. And if you want to see sort of more projects with me and my family doing things like that, then just maybe let me know in the comments, because I'm trying to encourage my wife to do a bit more of this, but she's a little bit shy, camera shy. So if you want to see more of my wife, or maybe that's not the best terminology to use, but if you want to see more projects where me and my wife get involved with different making and combining mixed materials, just let me know in the comments, because I'll be really interested to see whether you're interested in that sort of thing. I hope that's giving you a few things to think about. The only other thing I wanted to say, I don't want to ramble on too long, so this was supposed to really just give you a little taster of the sort of things we've done, but the other thing I did as a little bit of a surprise for my wife was she had this wonderful little stand for jewellery, and this was her sort of jewellery stand. Very nice, but a little bit impractical for everyday use. The jewellery would often, she wears quite a lot of really nice necklaces, and it sort of sits there and sits on the desk, and it gets overloaded. She's got quite a few, so you know, it was sort of getting a little bit over capacity really. So I thought about it for a while, and I thought I can design a jewellery tree. And there were a few different designs on the internet, but I wanted to make it modular. I wanted to make it specific to the sort of things that my wife has. There was a lot of ones on Thingiverse that were really just for earrings or lots of bangles, and she doesn't wear too many of those, but certainly necklaces. So I ended up with making this, which is my modular jewellery tree. And this really, again, this is in Polymake or Polysmooth. Each part has been printed separately. The bottom base part here, where you can put sort of knickknacks and bits and bobs and earrings and things and rings and stuff like that. And then there's some little hooks at the bottom where you can put little earrings on, and it's all got a slight twist so you can see everything as it goes up, so you can hang things down. It makes it a little bit easier to see. And each one of these pieces is modular, so you can put these pieces in and then decide how tall you need it, how many arms you need, whether they're small arms at the little back here or lower, higher arms, and they all just sort of clip in. So this was quite a really fun project and a really interesting design for me to model as well. So I enjoyed the modelling side, the printing side, and the smoothing and polishing side, because it's come out really rather nice. I think this is one of my favourite Polymaker Polysmooth colours. It looks like ceramic, it looks like finished ceramic when it's all sort of hard and finished after being smoothed. And of course then, you know, she's got a lot more places to actually put these on, and they hang down, you can see them. So yeah, she was rather impressed with that. I think she'll probably prefer it in white. Wasn't too impressed with the colour. I'm not sure it's that to her taste, but yeah, impressed that you know, she's now got a lovely little jewellery stand. I've got a few more things to tweak on the box and this, just to make it fit absolutely perfectly, and then I'll put the files up to share on Thingiverse and Imagine. But just wanted to show you that, because that was sort of a little bit of a secret project I was trying to do in the background with no one finding out until it was all finished, which was quite hard, but I managed it in the end, and you know, it's turned out quite well. So definitely a step up improvement from the old sort of little smaller one that could only have very small capacity. Okay, so really that was what I wanted to share with you, and I've got a lot of things to catch up with in terms of projects. I'm catching up with all the ones from last year, the TAS 6 and the Sigma BCN 3D version 2017, and been doing lots of different things with that, so I've got all of those coming up. And quite a few exciting things coming up in the next few months as well. One, which I'm just going to give you a bit of a hint, maybe someone out there knows what this is. Any ideas? I'm not going to tell you, but it might just give you a few clues. Maybe if I hold up this. Okay. You'll see that coming up soon anyway. So that's part of a build project I'm doing a little bit later on in the year. So that's going to be really exciting. And there's loads of other stuff as well. There's new machines, new designs, new extruders, loads of stuff. But I hope this video was of interest to you. A little bit interesting, using different mixed materials, mixed media, and 3D printing as well. Okay. Thanks ever so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.